everyone, it's Maria Young here and welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new to this channel, welcome and thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode of my tropical plant adventures. Now in today's episode, guys, we're going to be talking all about how size does matter when it comes to propagations, of course. So let's go ahead and talk about why we want these longer, these bigger stem cuttings when we propagate. And the plants that I'm talking about in specific today are really your climbing and your vining plants. I'm talking about your Rhaphidophras, your Monsteras, your Philodendrons, and also some of your Anthuriums. But of course, it also applies to other plants as well. It should be understood that the bigger, the longer the stem cutting is, the more energy it has, not only to sustain the plant, but also to have it thriving and flourishing, where it's going to bounce back, recover, and definitely grow well for us. And the reason why we want these bigger and longer stem cuttings, well, because if we have it bigger and longer, that means we will have more nodes on the stem cutting. And of course, the more nodes we have, the better chance of a successful propagation. So if one node does not work, then we may have a couple of more that can. Now guys, when I do say big long stem cuttings, I'm not necessarily talking about vines that will extend all the way down to the ground, as with this Philodendron Brazil right here. But what I am referring to is getting a cutting that at least has about 2, 3, 4 or more nodes. That will give you more of an opportunity to get more growths and of course have a healthier stem cutting. Because having too long of cuttings, guys, will make it so much more harder to manage. And of course, another reason why we want these bigger and longer stem cuttings is for the simple fact that if we do encounter some form of infection or some form of rotting, then we have the opportunity to intervene and try to still save that cutting. So indeed, it's always better if the stem cutting is bigger. You just have an all-around better chance of getting a successful propagation. And folks, when I do say that size really does matter, I'm also referring to the very large specimen, very mature and older plants, such as this one right here, which is my Pastazanum. And if we do a size comparison, you will see that she is humunga dunga and very wonga. And if we take a look at her stem area, you are going to see how thick and also how long her stems have become, making her a prime candidate for a propagation. You will see the natural way this grows, where you're seeing the roots beginning to grow on the underside of her actual stem. So this is really a hardy and very easy plant to propagate. And as you can see right here, it even has a new growth in a leaf that will soon unfurl. If propagated, will grow without a hitch, without any setbacks, without any recovery period or processes, because it does have such a healthy way of growth. So again, prime candidate for propagating. And right here is an example of a propagation project that we took from a very mature Anthurium Splendidum number 3. And as you can see, it's a pretty large cutting, and you can't even see the entirety of the cutting because some of the cutting is actually beneath the media. But as you can see right there, guys, there's already a growth growing, and this has only been potted up for about 2 weeks. And this plant right here is actually the better half. This is the top cutting of that Anthurium Splendidum number 3. And this has continued to grow without a hitch, no setbacks, no problems. And as you can see, it's continuing to grow its flower right here and its new leaf. And again, guys, this is the top cutting of a very mature Splendidum number 3. So now that we have a better understanding of why the bigger the better, I'm going to show you some examples so that you can see exactly what I mean. Now, about 3 months ago, we did do a propagation on this Monstera Thai Constellation right here, and also this Monstera Thai Constellation over here. And 2 months later, it gave us this gorgeous leaf right here. And then 2 weeks after that, it gave us this very large leaf right here. So this is growing very well. And after 2 weeks, this Monstera right here gave us this huge leaf. And I'm talking about huge, guys. And then after 2 weeks later, it grew us this one right here, which is still hardening off, guys. And I can't even show you the full extent of the leaf, but trust me when I say it is humunga dunga. As a matter of fact, the largest leaf thus far on this Monstera. So as you can see with these two Monsteras right here, it is absolutely back to business as normal. So let's go ahead and take a look at the cuttings, shall we? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the largest cutting that we have. And this was so large, in fact, that we were capable of saving 2 leaves on this cutting, and these leaves are rather large. And here's the cutting right here. Now we're not going to be able to see the full extent of this cutting because some of the cutting is also within the surface of the media as well. But as you can see, these right here are the stems of the leaves that were still attached. And then afterwards, within 2 months, it grew us the very first leaf. And guys, here's the very first leaf that we did get, and as you can see, it is rather mutated and it was not fully formed. And the very first leaf did try to give us fenestration right here, but you can definitely see that it was in recovery mode, so it gave us what it could. But guys, 2 weeks later, and voila, and ta-da, this is the leaf it gave us. And as you can see, this is at a very large size. So I would say the next leaf is going to be larger than this, which will be about the size or even larger than this leaf right here. So guys, in a total of 3 months time, we are getting a fully mature, fully fenestrated leaf. Check out the size on this thing right here. It is humunga dunga wunga, and it is fully recovered and is growing as normal. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the smaller cuttings. And as you can see, this one right here is the smallest one, and this one right here is double the size of this one. The smallest cutting. Now I don't know exactly what it's trying to do other than it's trying to grow, guys. It really is. But take a look at the very first leaf it gave us within like 2 months after the propagation, and it is quite a tiny baby leaf. And then 2 weeks later it tried to give us this, which later soon browned up at the edges, and this is what we were left with. Look at that funky leaf right there. But I gotta say, it is still trying to grow, and this will recover, but this is going to take a lot longer to really grow out. And this one right here is the one that is double the size of the smallest one. And take a look, this one actually had enough energy to throw off this little baby growth right there, and also another larger growth right here. And with this one right here, it also took 2 months before we seen anything. And this was the very first leaf that it gave us. And you're also noticing some deformities in this leaf as well. And then afterwards, 2 weeks later, guys, look at this. Look at that, guys. It gave us this leaf right here. And it is of a good size, especially from a cutting such as this, and also a cutting that's also trying to grow another growth. Take a look at the size. This is about 4 or 5 times bigger than its original leaf. So that should show you how rapidly this Monstera Thai Constellation cutting is growing. And I would assume perhaps 2 more leaves or 3 at the most, and this should already receive its fenestration. And wow, this should be a beautiful propagated plant right here. So in all of the cuttings that I've shown you, you really see the difference in the size of the cuttings, and also the size of the growths, and also the size of their full potential. And this charming fella right here, sad to say, it is going to be its last cameo, because I've actually sold this cutting right here. So bye bye, handsome fella, and you will be remembered always. And now guys, do you see why I truly say that size does matter, and the bigger the better, at least in my book. And right here, guys, are just more examples of some large cuttings that I took. And within this container, I actually have some Plowmanii, some Mameis, and also some Pastazanums. And I've only potted these up about 2 weeks ago. And as you can see, look at these growths already coming about. And that's what can happen if you have large enough cuttings with good amount of energy and is healthy enough. And of course, you provided the right conditions. I mean, they really bounce back and begin to grow. Again, the larger the better, guys. I'm just saying. I just can't say it enough. I like it big, okay? And that applies to all of my plants. I'm really trying to grow them up in specimen sizes. And I do that by taking some very nice size cuttings. In this container right here, I actually have 3 nice size cuttings of this painted lady right here growing in a huge pot. And of course, I have it staked up within this cage right here. And that is my plan and my purpose for majority of my plants, of which they're growing so well. I'm so happy I decided to keep them under control and grow them within the cages, including this Monstera Thai, which is growing like wildfire. I actually have to wind it around this tomato cage so that I can keep it at a rate where it won't already grow out of the cage. But I'm having a hard time with this one because this grows so fast. And guys, if we take a look at this very large leaf Pedatum right here, I cannot believe how much this has grown, staked up. I mean, look at all of those beautiful and very lush leaves. So huge, guys. And I absolutely love it. And right here, guys, is a golden pothos that is growing within a cage and is absolutely growing like a fool, guys, like a total fool. This is getting so large. Even though it's caged up, it is still loving life. And guys, look at that. This is my silver sword. And it is also growing like bazonkers. Definitely, I am loving the fact that I have them caged up and able to climb and able to grow to its fullest and greatest potential. You guys have to stay tuned because I have tons of updates on the staking and caging up projects that I've done back here. And oh my goodness, so much growth, guys. And there you have it, folks. The rumors are true. Size really does matter. Oh my. When it comes to propagations, the bigger the cutting is, the bigger the growth is as well, in the regards to how fast they grow, how fast they can recover, and also how fast they can reach maturity. I thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of my tropical plant adventures, and I'm hoping that you've learned something new from this video and perhaps it'll help you along your propagation missions as well. If you like this video, make sure you like, share, and also subscribe. You guys already know that I will see you guys later, and I'll also grow with you guys later on my next adventure. Bye-bye!